As most of us know, NHL players tend to set the bar for themselves as far as expectations are concerned, meaning that, due to past performance in seasons prior, fans naturally expect players to remain consistent. Therefore, when they begin to struggle, it doesn't go unnoticed. In this video, we're going to go over some players who have been viewed as stars before, but aren't currently performing like it. And with that, here are 4 players who used to be considered stars that are currently struggling. Former 3rd overall pick of 2016, Pierre-Luc Dubois was looked at as a versatile power forward who could be equally effective at both ends of the ice. Dubois, who was able to notch 20 goals in his rookie campaign for CBJ, showed immense promise. Over time, Dubois cemented himself as a household name in Columbus, along with Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky, began to be seen as a star player. However, once Bob and the Breadman went elsewhere, it was PLD that was the main attraction in Ohio's capital. Throughout the 2019-2020 season, for example, it was Dubois who scored the most points on the Jackets roster. And while no, he wouldn't have been seen as every team's best player at that time, offensively anyways for Columbus, he was for a short time. After making his way to Winnipeg, the forward was able to notch 60 or more points for 2 additional seasons. And after demanding to be moved for a second time, Dubois was traded to the Los Angeles Kings. Now there's obviously a lot more to this than just his lackluster point totals. But on the surface, his offensive drop-off has been on full display. After signing an 8-year contract valued at $68 million, Dubois is now on pace to have his worst season ever, NHL-wise, as his projected point total for the current campaign is looking to be an embarrassing 36 points. Another rather alarming stat is the fact that Dubois is a -16. While the plus-minus stat isn't the most important, considering that the next closest player to him is only a -6, says a lot. He also has a 2-to-1 ratio when it comes to giveaways and takeaways, meaning that for every takeaway, he has 2 giveaways. Recently, former head coach Todd McClellan shared his frustrations with his player to the media, while saying, "At the end of the day, whether PL gets 4 minutes or gets 24 minutes, he has to be a difference maker. And with or without the puck, we've gone through this long enough. It's time," he says. While Dubois did manage to score a goal after being called out, it was the first point for him in 4 games. And since, he has been pointless. Knowing that his full no-move clause kicks in next season for 4 years allows for the speculation to seep in that he could indeed be traded. Back in 2022, when Matthew Tkachuk was traded to Florida for Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, it was largely looked at as a fleecing from Calgary's end, meaning that the 2-for-1 deal that GM Bill Zito made caused many headshakes to take place throughout the hockey world. However, fast forward to the present moment, and by all accounts, this was a major W for the Panthers. Granted, yes, Tkachuk has had a slower season thus far, but hey, at least he's putting up a point per game. With that being said, it's really hard to put into words the massive decline that Huberdeau's game has taken, as the same player who once was notching over 100 points a season for the Cats is now 8th in scoring for the Flames. During Huberdeau's time in the Sunshine State, he managed to make 2 All-Star Game appearances and to hit the 100-point threshold on multiple occasions. Looking at his production today, as I alluded to, contrast couldn't be more evident. Currently, the forward is on pace to finish the season with a career low of only 44 points. Another troubling stat here is that his shooting percentage, which is the lowest it's ever been, is a 7.6. While many of us thought, last campaign, that head coach Daryl Sutter was the culprit, with him now out of the picture, clearly he wasn't. However, it's hard to deny the fact that Alexander Barkov was a factor in Huberdeau's success. Regardless, I think we can all agree that even if Huberdeau didn't have a no-move clause on his deal, he wouldn't be getting traded anytime soon with a AAV like this. Unlike Matthew Tkachuk, Johnny Gaudreau didn't exactly have the smoothest transition after leaving Calgary. Last campaign, for instance, Johnny Hockey finished with nearly half of the goals he scored during his last season as a Flame. And similarly to Huberdeau, Gaudreau has not only been struggling in the current campaign, but he's also on pace to have his worst season yet. Gaudreau, who has only managed to tickle the twine on 7 occasions, is on his way to finish out with only 52 points. He also is sporting his worst shooting percentage yet, with a 7.3. While yes, the whole team is having a terrible season as a whole, Gaudreau, who is getting 11.7% of the entire cap, hasn't met expectations. Back when he decided to commit to Columbus for 7 years, he was coming off of a 115-point season. He had also tied Huberdeau for second in scoring league-wide with 115 points. Therefore, the 7-time All-Star was expected to deliver when he became a Jacket. Like Huberdeau, Gaudreau had his guy that he meshed with in Matthew Tkachuk. The two were together for 87% of the time for 5-on-5, for their last season in Alberta. Tkachuk went to Florida to play with Barkov, and Gaudreau went to Columbus, where the next best player was Patrik Laine. Even though yes, the talent may still be there for Gaudreau, he still hasn't been able to stand out amongst his peers for a hot minute. I thought this one would be rather interesting to cover, because when it comes to Trevor Zegras, he's made headlines for reasons that are different than what we're used to. Meaning that Zegras has been viewed as a star player for the tricks he can do, rather than offensive production. When the NHL world first witnessed what we know now as a Michigan assist from Zegras to Sonny Milano, the hockey world was abuzz. We had John Tortorella speaking out against it and others taking their sides and giving it more attention and results. Besides all of the clout he's gotten for his countless Michigan goals, the forward was also invited to the NHL All-Star Game of 2022 and made the cover of NHL 23. In my opinion, Zegras is a marketing piece that works wonders for advertising. He makes hockey look fun and flashy, and in that regard, he can appeal to a particular group of fans. However, when we actually look at his point totals, he hasn't even had a point per game season yet. Given yes, there have been injuries and he's not on the best team, but his own peers voted him as the league's most overrated player for a reason. Now begs the question, was Zegras ever a star player to begin with? My vote is no, but again, he has those intangibles of personality and flash that cast a mirage that he is. Regardless, Zegras has taken a nosedive when it comes to production in general. When he was healthy for his first 20 games played, he was only able to record 7 points. And overall too, he hasn't been in the spotlight much either this season, outside of his lone Michigan goal he potted. In conclusion, I'd like to take this time to thank my amazing patrons Hunter B, Dom M, Caden D, Jonathan H, Patrick K, Francis B, and Thosha G, and Louise T. If you'd like to support me and my work, plans start at just $1 a month. Once you join, you'll be privileged to perks such as video previews, monthly shoutouts, unseen analytics, and more. Again, if you'd like to become part of this awesome community, simply click the link below to get started. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.